Hello and welcome to EATV. I wanted to do a video on basically a general biblical stroke world situation that we're in at the moment, because there's a lot of information out there, but not a lot in terms of with the biblical, like with the mainstream media, not a lot like clarity on the situation. We are getting closer to the tribulation, when the church age and all that, and times are getting difficult. And really it's the people, it's us, that are causing this change. Doctrine, corruption and moral collapse is what we see why we're becoming weaker as nations in the West. We're becoming weaker because of that doctrine, corruption and moral collapse. And like I said, every day I try and look at a little bit of biblical information somewhat, because every day, even myself, there's corruption in myself. So you've got to look in the mirror and think, I'm part of the problem as well in these nations in the Western world. And the moral collapse, where it's almost like the bad things are celebrated. And one thing that comes to mind is the post office scandal. People that were honourable were prosecuted by a computer system or whatever. Then there's other things in society that goes on. Apparently they can't find the money for these people. But on other scenarios, like in Candy 91 times, you had government bailouts for people self-employed, and there was a lot of corruption with people booking in a lot of stuff. I mean, have they recouped the money from that? And then you could recoup the money from that and pay the other people. But they don't do that. They let the criminal prevail, and they let the people that were honourable at the post office get their name blackened, and so on and so forth. So that was something that's just come to mind at the moment. And then there's the other point of 2 Timothy 4:2, which is preach the word, be instant in season and out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all longsuffering and doctrine. And that comes to another point where a lot of the time on my YouTube account, I get a lot of, which is good to see, Christian preachers preaching the word. But then when you do what, like, say, Ruckman says, how to tell if somebody's lying, you check the 2 points. What is he saying? And you go to the KJV 1611, see if it matches up. And a lot of the time, a lot of these people are not matching up with the KJV 1611. So they've got a modern Bible. Could they be saved? Yeah. It's not for me to know. It's between God and them. But they are using modern Bible. And we know with the KJV, you've got the testimony there. You've got William Tyndale, a man that was brilliant, in some in Fox's Book of Martyrs, he would be regarded as an apostle of England. That's what he was described as. So that man was kind of like on a different level, you know. That's the standard in which we had. And like, I go back to the point, because I've watched a lot of videos of Ruckman. We're not getting better. A car that gets that you buy doesn't get better over time, it gets worse. And if you've got tools or anything like that, you would know that, you know, it doesn't get better over time, it gets worse, you know. So that's the situation. And I like that verse, Galatians 6:7. Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. And what are we sowing in our nations and as people? And I've done this myself. I've sown bad things in the past, and every day sometimes as well, because we're all worthy of hell. But once saved, always saved. If you can break the pride and, you know, and call out to the Lord will hear you. And that's what thing. Nobody needs to go to hell, but we go to hell because we want to change what God has put down that we need to do. You know, we need to follow that code of conduct. We can't change the fact that as people we've been here a lot less time than the angels, and God has been here forever. So you've got different levels. You've got the angels that have been around a lot longer. You've got us that's like been around for a period of time, but not an enormous amount of time. And you can see how you can get caught by the devil. He's been around a long time. You know, we've been around a short time. You know, he knows more than us about things. That's why you can get caught out. But yeah, I wanted to do a video on that. And there's a lot of talk about wars at the moment with Russia and all that. That one is coming up again. And you should hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So these things have to come to pass. That's going on at the moment, and you know, definitely when I look at how they can control people. So if you can, wars will happen. You know, in the future, in the tribulation, there'll probably be a lot of wars. At the moment, they have to scare the people, the elites and the politicians, and all that. But really, what a lot of these politicians doing, they're playing all sides, and it's a great way to scare the people to talk about the wars and all that. It also detracts away from what they're doing on the home soil as well. You know, that you know that they are really changing the country quite a lot. You know, on home soil. And yeah, so we got to use critical thinking. You know, I think prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And I think that's a good motto. And I'll just leave it there. Thank you for your time to listen to the video, and I hope to see you on the next one.